Hello everybody, this is Quartz and I'm here to show you a deck tech. It's my first one on this channel in the commander format. It's really for duel commander with the French ban list, so 20 HP. I've chosen Edgar Markov as the general because he's really overpowered, I think, and he might see himself get banned soon because his Eminence ability is really strong. What does he do? If you cast a vampire spell, even if he's not on the battlefield but he's in the command zone, it pops you a 1/1 black vampire token. It just gives you free creatures whenever you play a vampire spell. And even if he hits the table and attacks, which he can do the turn you play him because he has haste, it pumps every vampire control. So it's really a powerhouse, and I've tried here to exploit this ability as much as I could. So a lot of cheap creatures to trigger this Eminence ability. So we have a really low curve. End of the curve is 4 with maybe one 5-drop. Yeah, I think it's the only 5-drop we have is the Blood Witch. Where is it? Well, never mind. Blood Witch. When she comes onto the battlefield, she drains. Yeah, there she is. Michael Blood Witch. That's the end of our curve. So, yeah, really a lot of cheap vampires to have a lot of creatures as fast as possible. We run 40 tokens enablers in the form of mostly vampire creatures, and also nameless inversion that counts as a vampire spell because it's changing ability. A quick look of the creatures first. So we have Adaptive Automaton. It is not a vampire as you cast it, but then you can choose it as its type and it's gonna buff all the other vampires you have. So he's here to pump your team. Asylum Visitor, a vampire, aggressive, that lets you draw if you have no other cards in hand, and also have Madness that can be useful if you have to discard it. Blood Artist, known to drain opponents when creature dies, very good with cards that let you sack your creatures like Viscera Seer or Yeni. We have Bloodseeker, really aggressive. Bloodghast, some value comes back from the graveyard. Cool synergies with also Blood Artist and stack outlets. Bloodline Keeper basically pumps every creature when you flip it because he becomes a 5/5 flyers that buffs every creature, gives them every vampire, and give them +2/+2. Other sack outlet that gets huge and also triggers Eminence. Bold Impaler, Brutal Lord Chief, and Hellrider are both 4-drops that have kind of the same ability. They will deal damage before your creatures when they attack, before damage. So really put some pressure even if your attack is bad. I mean, if they can block efficiently, they will still get some damage through. Another buff that also can steal creatures from the other. Captivating Vampire, really strong in this deck. Some cheap vampires to trigger Eminence quick. Trana, Liberator, Malakir also buff your team when she attacks because she is first and then pumps everybody if she had dealt damage to an opponent. Other sack outlet, and also a really strong card with haste, a lot of power, and it's hard to deal with it because you can just sack creatures to protect her. Early drop that can also kill stuff. Gildra's Assassin. Aggro stuff. Really a lot of aggro card, just 1-drops that will trigger Eminence and get as much power as possible early in the game. Here another value card that drain the opponents whenever a vampire dies. Malakir Bloodreach, we talked about it already. Metallic Mimic is really a strong card, doesn't trigger when you play it, doesn't trigger Eminence, but then whenever a vampire enters the battlefield, it will get a +1/+1 counter on it. Really a powerhouse in this deck. Mirror Entity does trigger Eminence, and then all your 1/1 creatures can be huge if you pay enough mana to do so. Here's some other really aggressive cards. Rakish Air, also good, pumps your vampires when they deal damage to a player. Shadow Allied Denizen can also let your creatures get through because it gives Intimidate when black creatures enter the battlefield. Stormcare Captain, really Vampire Lord that buffs all your vampires and give them first strike, really strong. Other vampire that can buff your creatures is Stormcare Condemn. Wow, my English, sorry. Here some aggressive threats early game. Vampire Nighthawk, one of the best vampires of the game. And we have Nocturnus, a real powerhouse because you really have a lot of black spells in this deck. So it's likely that you will hit his ability and give +2/+1 and flying to all of your vampires is really just game. Another threat that's hard to deal with is Yenny. For the rest, we have 6 burn spell that also count as removal that can end the game with direct damage to your opponent. Some value cards like Colagan's Command. Zealous Persecution can finish the game by plussing all your team and killing some of the opponent creatures. Fire Covenant, also Game Breaker, can get rid of all the blockers and just let your team go through and put the last damage in. Shared Animosity, powerhouse in this deck, obviously. Just gonna get all your vampires huge when they attack. Goblin Bombardment, Sack Outlet, plus deals damage to the opponent. A really awesome card in this deck also. We run 2 artifacts, Skull Clown because it's just insane in this deck. You can draw out of each token you make. It's really so strong. And Umezawa Jite, just one of the best equipment of the game. No explanation needed, I think. We have some removal like we talked through the burn spells. We also have Vindicate, Dreadbore and Chain Lightning as the sorceries that can get rid of stuff. Demonic Tutor lets you get what you want, just a must have in any black deck. We run 39 lands, not much utility lands. We basically have Cavern of Souls to, of course, makes your vampires uncounterable. We have Wasteland to kill a land, and otherwise we have Mutavolt that count like a vampire, gets the buff from the lords, and just the best manland I think in Magic. Pass of Ancestry, new card, lets you scry whenever you play a vampire, so really insane. But the big downside, it comes tapped in an aggressive deck. It's something that you usually don't want, but the scryability is really so strong that you can make this little concession for that one land. Other lands, just mana fixing. The deck is heavy black, some splash red, and really a little bit of white, so yeah, you can afford to play a lot of basics, a lot of swamps. So yeah, basically black deck with some red and white splash. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this deck tech video. I will soon play with it on the field and see how good it performs. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.